This is a world where no starlight touches the ground, where even its own sun is a dim haze. A world of grey silhouettes and false smiles, whispered caution and suspicion. Here, strangers are welcomed as friends and friends as strangers. It is not an old world, not a glorious world. It is not a world revered for its saints or pandered to for its vast wealth and luxury. This is Mistwarden, where war is waged, not in fire, but in fog. And survival often depends on how quickly you can react to the auspex. Hello everyone and welcome back to my little corner, where today we're going to be focusing on the world of Mistwarden. Located in the northwest Cosmopolis subsector in my homebrew sector of EO, it makes up the trifecta of power in the region, along with Castile and Pale. I'm going to be doing the usual mini showcase at the end, so if you like that sort of stuff, then please subscribe and hit that like button, because it's all free and lets me know that you enjoyed it and you want to see more. So thanks for watching, and let's dive into this lore. Mistwarden is a wet, temperate planet of rolling hills, rocky outcrops, bogs and forests, covered in near constant mist. It never rains, but it never truly clears. From orbit, it looks drowned in grey smoke, and most who live there have never seen the sky, the stars, or a moon. The sun exists as nothing but a haze. There are no beautiful views, and the horizon is nothing but a myth. But beneath this veil lies a unique culture, a paradoxical people, hardened by secrecy and blood. Its cities are nestled between valleys and small but steep mountain ranges. Hidden trenches, outposts, gun emplacements litter the landscape, secret pict recorders and auspex scanners taking every bit of information they can. Mistwarden is not just a place, it is a warning. A whisper that something is always watching you, even if you can't see it. Though its walls may feel ancient, Mistwarden is a relatively young colony in imperial terms. It was founded nearly 2 millennia after its sister world, Castile, a military powerhouse in the sector of EO. It began as an overflow colony, a settlement of cast-offs from Castile's great urban hives, plus surplus soldiers, workers, orphans and prisoners from Sindramundi. Life was not easy. The fog made everything a struggle. Crops failed, signals warped, and worst of all, people started to vanish. Workers, children, entire squads swallowed by the grey. They blamed the weather, they blamed the land, then they blamed each other. They endured, but they changed. The people turned inward, structure collapsed, and instead people resorted to a form of family-bonded tribal alliance, forming local groups and gangs. Communities became isolated, districts lost contact, cities stopped communicating, for days, then months, then years, with rumours saying that some were never found again. Then came the war. A civil war between city-states and isolated towns that had seemingly lost their minds vying for control, and imperial loyalists who refused to relinquish their power. Yet it was soon discovered that within this madness were the first chaos cults. Loyalists fought against rebel forces for years, whilst leadership covered up the truth of the matter, afraid that their world would suffer complete annihilation at the hands of the Inquisition, should the truth ever get out. As the conflict continued, more emphasis was placed on mechanised warfare and tank divisions to survive the depths of the mists. Infantry were equipped with enhanced thermal visibility goggles and began to specialise in scout manoeuvres. Lighthouses, beacons, gun emplacements and signal towers were erected. Traps, minefields and kill zones and more were laced across the land by both sides. Almost a century passed and Mistwarden had become a ruin of itself. Cities lay in dust, ash and smoke filled the air as much as the fog itself. But the truth would eventually get out, as tithe quotas would not be met. Administrators from Sindramundi itself would raise the flag, and with inquisitorial help, an investigation was launched. Though it was found that loyalist forces had done much to take back the territory lost, the situation was deemed to be dire. Sector forces were dispatched to deal with the situation, and the loyalist elite were purged for their failure to report the conflict. Many of Mistwarden's forces were sidelined, and reinforcements led by Sindramundi, Castile, Pale and more were deployed. However, the battle quickly began to swing as the rebels of Mistwarden proved their skill. Tank regiments annihilated loyalist forces and always seemed one step ahead. This was until Lord Arius Varn, 3rd Company Captain of the Adeptus Astartes chapter known as the Obsidian Kings, took it upon himself to prove that Mistwarden's loyalist forces were not at fault. With inquisitorial oversight, Varn worked with Mistwarden's troops to reshape them, before they were redeployed back onto the battlefield. These warriors, eager for battle, with new zeal to reclaim their world, and with minor, if significant support from the Astartes, brought devastation to the enemy. Regiments thought destroyed or forgotten, returned, rearmed, regrouped, and ready. It was this return that earned them the name, the Ghosts of Mistwarden. The people of Mistwarden are one of the strangest contradictions in the sector. Each settlement lives in relative isolation, surrounded by fog and rumour. Entire towns grow apart like ancient trees, twisted by tradition and myth, but ruled collectively, much like that of Castile, by a circle of military governors known as the Shields. Yet what the people have in common is that they are all exceptionally welcoming. The planet offers little in the way of natural beauty or grand architecture. Its buildings are bleak, its landscape cold. So the people make up for it through hospitality and a smile. It is custom to greet all visitors, even strangers, with food and drink, to offer shelter, bedding, and offer prayers to the Emperor. But beneath that warmth lies suspicion. Behind each smile, cautious eyes. Many of Mistwarden's people appear to wear a smile like a mask. To let it slip is to show displeasure, ungratefulness to the Emperor who gifted their world a second chance. Off-worlders and outsiders from other towns and cities are treated kindly, but not trusted. Not truly. Each city has its own accents, its own colours, even slightly different versions of the Imperial Creed. Raiders, gangers, and bandits lurk in the mists, and no one ever shows their true intentions or true loyalties. Therefore, to understand somebody's motives is to have an advantage. To hide your own at the same time is to be victorious. This mentality and way of life leads to this almost permanent smile becoming a game of subtle gestures. To outsiders, it appears that they are hiding a deep pain. Yet to most, it appears sinister, as if Mistwarden's people are hiding some hidden agenda. Only in the Guard do they learn unity. The children of Mistwarden are often drafted into the Guard, the PDF, or the Ministorum. Loyalty is drilled into them, and only then are these fragmented cousins forced to trust one another. That is how their strength is forged. If Mistwarden is famed for one thing above all, it is its tank crews. Yet its soldiers are equally as efficient and just as vital to the planet's way of war. The Mistwarden Guard, known as the Ghosts, are masters of tactical warfare, with their regiments specialising in smokescreen tactics, scouting and reconnaissance, ambushes under concealment, and coordinated armoured advances through low visibility terrain. They employ artillery, aerial and even orbital smoke bombardments, or utilise atmospherical chemical chaff to blind entire swaths of land and cause weather manipulation to bring in the cloud cover before deploying. On the ground they make extreme use of thermals and narrow lens optics, auspex scanners, scouting and reconnaissance tactics. Their tanks are often well camouflaged and thickly armoured, joined by infantry and able to appear and disappear into the mists and smoke like monsters. Their infantry wear standard combat gear, usually appearing to be slightly older or weathered, with many complaining that they get the gear Castile throws away. Their uniform is grey and black, and they move with an eerie silence under their black helmets. They're often seen wearing a wrap, cloth or rebreather to cover their lower faces, fueling rumours that they still smile beneath it. Once fully trained, they will undergo the test of fire on Eterna Majoris, where they would take their training and working alone and by the side of other forces shall display and test their skills in the field of battle. This travel off-world has to be trained for in and of itself and monitored closely. Soldiers are taught about what to expect when their eyes are opened to the sky, the stars, the horizon, before heading off to Eterna. However, with each new tithe, a portion of recruits will suffer a mental break somewhere within this period. Mistwarden's regiments maintain unique military fraternities. Each unit is more than a battalion, it is a brotherhood. Members share rituals, tokens, even tattoos or scar patterns. These fraternities form before deployment and last for life, across campaigns, worlds, and years. Strategically, Mistwarden's commanders are some of the most cunning in the sector. Quiet, patient and adaptive. They fight not for glory, but for efficiency. Many of Mistwarden's soldiers make great tactician and strategic officers. Veterans who have been praised highly have often been reassigned to strategic command and advisory positions across the galaxy, with one such officer famously said to have served in the same war room as the great Commissar Yarrick shortly before the Third War of Armageddon. They are not loud, they are not bold, they win. Though they may not win the grander wargames on Eterna, they win more tank engagements than any other world's divisions in the sector, and in time, Mistwarden's forces are not just living in Castile's shadow. On Eterna, they are fast becoming a rising rival. Though they do not see themselves as competition, instead, they are the shield to Castile's sword and Pale's halo. As with many of the regiments from the sector of EO, they have served in many wars across the galaxy, and some of the largest, supporting forces and regiments from countless worlds. But some notable regiments and divisions include the 17th Lantern Watch, deployed during the siege of Garnet Hive on the world of Alcahest in the Pyranthosphale subsector of EO. After orbital bombardments drenched the landscape and the city itself in smoke, their tanks arrived hours before they were spotted by enemy reconnaissance. The defenders were completely overrun, with the Lantern Watch leading the charge, destroying 70% of revolutionary defences by themselves. The city's revolution was ended swiftly as revolutionary forces surrendered en masse shortly after. Then there are the 43rd Silent Reapers, famous for their part in the War for the Screaming Plateau in M39, where they provided support to the newly out of sector APA, fighting against a Chaos cult held Mesa complex. Whilst it was the APA who had cut out the corruption at the root, the Silent Reapers led the armoured assault above ground in the build-up, devastating enemy defence lines and winning multiple large victories in that single deployment. They were later redeployed in the home sector of EO, famously executing the defence of a Munitorum on the world of Inra from a Genestealer cult assault, saving over 3,000 PDF troops. They suffered only 9 casualties, with only 2 vehicles sustaining significant damage, reportedly defeating the assault within a matter of minutes from the first shell being fired. Then there are the 51st Nightshade Cavaliers, who fought in the Battle of Valtracia during the 12th Black Crusade, where they held their ground for 9 weeks in pitch black fog against a Chaos incursion. When reinforcements arrived, they were found still holding the line through sheer grit and guerrilla warfare tactics born in the mists of their homeworld. Though they had suffered 88% casualties, no distress signal was ever sent, and the enemy looked to be on the back foot. Then there are the infamous 3rd Grey Watch, famed for being the first Mistwarden tank regiment to ever see action and one of the last to remain standing during its Civil War days. They supported Cadian forces during the 12th Black Crusade and have served with the Steel Legion on a number of occasions. They are currently fighting against revolutionary forces on Sarnath 12, along with various other regiments from the EO sector. Mistwarden's regiments may not be large, but what they are is capable, and that's what makes them dangerous. But fear spreads amongst the elite. Many of Mistwarden's forces were sent to fight against Abaddon's 13th Black Crusade, and it's rumoured that most fell. Not to the sword, not to the axe, not to the las or bolter fire, but to corruption and chaos. Many of the sector's elite hope this is not true, and that their lack of communication means death in the Emperor's name. EO's elite fear the whispers to be true. What if Mistwarden's regiments did not die, and did in fact turn traitor? What if they return home? Mistwarden's elite fear they already are home. Well, that's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed the lore and the minis. As you can see, I've used the bloody kill team to represent these guys. I don't currently have any tanks for the guard, but if I did, I'd like to make them up for the Mistwarden regiments, because I just think they're really cool and traitor guard are awesome. I did add an extra few guys, kit bash from the Cadians mostly. This guy uses some axes from the Corn Jackals box. I did cut them down a little bit because I thought they were a bit too long, so I cut down the handle, shortened the weapon just a touch. I think it looks great. Looks like an absolute nutcase about to charge in there and cut somebody up. Then I have this radio guy who's just a simple kit bash between the Bloodied and the Cadians. I do find this striding forward pose to be one of the worst poses in the box, both used here as traitors and as he comes in the regular Cadian box. It's just a very bland and static pose. with that forward motion. So I just tried to make the most of it with him just head down, shouting something into the Vox, you know, whatever. Then there's this pistol guy, again dual wielding. I just think it looks so sweet. This time he's with pistols rather than knives or axes. I just think this pose gives the mini a lot of character, like he's in the middle of moving or ducking fire or taking aim, you know, taking down some loyalists. I think it looks cool. Then I have this standard bearer or bannerman, whatever you want to call him. I think the banner is from the Old World Marauders box set. Can't remember now. I got it from BitsBox online. You can just search in banner or standard or something like that, and those sort of things will come up. They'll come bring up loads. You can just search for what you want. One day I'll get around to doing some freehanding and some symbols, some writing and things on the banners, and same with all the other units I've showed off, all the other kill teams or whatever. But I thought I'd show them off now anyway. This guy's got the overslung, over-the-shoulder rifle. I need to give him a weapon, but at the moment he's just too zealotous right now, charging forward with the banner. It's a really cool pose, and I think having it like that, it just really looks like, gives him a lot of motion, really. Lastly, I have this leader-like character. I think he's possibly my favourite model of the group. Something about this nonchalant pose, like the knives down, just looks so badass and so grim. He looks like he's from an artwork or something. But you can basically make this guy again from like the bloodied kill team and the Cadians. He's using a Cadian body with the bloodied arms and the bloodied head and the backpack or stuff. But I just wanted this leader to look a bit more bulked out with pouches and have a bit more of a wide chest with the body armour. Although the bloody do have body armour, the body armour is quite thin and it makes their chest look quite thin. Cadians seem to have a bit of a wider top of their chest, just makes them look a bit tougher. The other 5 Cadian bodies though, if you want to see them, they were put into the Wolves of Castile squad, so check out their video on my channel. It's the Wolves of Castile as a thumbnail. It's using all the Cadians, so if you like that, check that out. These have been the ghosts of Mistwarden. They speak little, they hide well, they strike from the mists, and they vanish like a breath. And now, they may be returning for the heart of EO. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Bye.